it's Erin with newly appointed Chief Fire Marshal, because I was just going to call you Fire Marshal,
That's
Chief
okay.
Fire Marshal, Troy Hicks. I have spent a lot of time with you at my past job, working together, so I'm so happy to be able to reunite in this position with you.
Absolutely.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Position.
Thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about the weather, because it's obviously a hot topic, no pun intended, in not just southern Alberta, but right across the province. So we have had a little bit of rain and snow the last few days here in the area, but that's not going to be the case for the whole year. And really, it hasn't been the case up to this point either. So what's that going to look like for, let's say, the city? And I mean, can you speak for the kind of the whole province?
Well, I know like a lot of information that I've heard is the province itself has put us in the wildfire season already, which is, I think it worked out to be 6 to 8 weeks earlier than usual.
Okay.
Just for how dry it's been all over. We've had our small little timelines that we'll get snow for a week or two, and then next it's dry, and then we get the snow. And especially like here down in southern Alberta, I've always used the description that we're kind of like a desert.
Right.
We do get this moisture, and it does help. Every little bit helps. But if we want to say that it's going to help alleviate the wildfire risk, or even just like our fire risk in the river bottom, we would have needed this ever since like say last November, and just constant to get it. The reservoirs are low. There's an awful lot of talk about the possibility of water restrictions this year just due to the risk, which is almost comical, and not saying it's comical for them to put it into a place, but we're going to worry about wildfire risk, and lots of times what we tell people is to make sure they keep their greenery around their homes watered, keep it trimmed, and that. Well, then if we're going to be in a water risk, we're going to have to be careful there as well, right? So we're just going to have to make sure people are paying attention to what they're doing and keep their yards nice and neat, keep all deadfall and stuff out of there. Just try to minimize the fuel load you'll have in your homes is really one of the only things we can do. But like down in the river bottom and stuff now, I mean, we do have our fire pits there. People are allowed to use them. We're just in a fire advisory. We're not in a fire ban. But just, same rules affect, just like the backyard fire pits in our homes in the bylaw 5858 here in the city. You need to make sure you're burning the clean, dry wood. You do need a water source. Even if you go down to the river bottom for cooking, you need something that you're going to be able to put that fire out.
Right.
A lot of the issues we've had in the river bottom over the years have been and just regular people go down with their families to have a picnic and have a fire going, but they have no way to put it out, so they just think it's out enough, they leave. And let's face it is Lethbridge. We know that pretty well every day the wind picks up. Exactly, right? And the ease that it can pick those ashes up and blow them around. And it's hard to see. We've seen photos with a drone, and we would have the areas around the fire pits so nice and clean, but just on the other side of those cleaned out areas is a lot of thick brush that if a spark or a cigarette butt or anything get in there, the entire river bottom can go up very quickly. So we just really want to remind people that even when we do have moisture like this, it doesn't mean that we're clean or clear and we got the green light to go ahead. It is still extremely dry, and just to be cautious, be very cautious if they are doing that. Make sure there's an adult around. Don't let the teenagers or the kids just go have a fire on their own. You need to have an adult around, somebody responsible that can take responsibility for that fire to make sure it's out.
Okay.
And then also just to remind people too, I know we get concerns and people calling us about complaints about fire pits all the time, whether it is the river bottom or people's yards. And they always say they don't want to waste the firefighters' times and call 911. One, that's not wasting our time. That is our job. That's why we're here. And one of the biggest things that helps us with people calling 911 is it all gets recorded. It gets recorded upstairs in dispatch over the phone, but it also gets recorded in our computer system. We do have a fee service here in the city of Lethbridge that if people are burning and against the bylaw, we can issue fees, tickets or tags that will hopefully help. It's not necessarily about just taking people's money, but it's making people realize there is a risk to what they're doing and that they need to be responsible for it. So
it's more than a hand slap.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't want to set the world